the Mitzrayim, we got beat, right? Weren't allowed out. But the Arizal tells us that in a deeper way, the Gullus, right? Because we know that there's an outer and there's an inner. Everything in this world has a Chitzonis and Pneumius. So when it comes to the Pneumius, the Gullus was a Gullus Hadas, it's called, and called Gullus Hadibur. Different places, the Arizal says different things. Right? An exile of the mind, the Das, an exile of the speech, of the Dibur. And Das and Dibur, as we'll see, but Das and Dibur are very, very connected, very simply. You can only speak out what you think about, right? We know that Chabad, we're not going to, of course, we have no time to go into all the depth of everything and even scratching the surface. We can't even scratch the surface, but there's Chacham Bin and there's Das, right? Chacham Bin and Das then sends down into the next part of the system. What's the next part of the system? Of course, your eyes, we're not going to get into that now, in your ears, but then your mouth. Your mouth, right? What you say. You only say what you can, not what you've actively thought about. Sometimes we speak without thinking, but it definitely comes from some part of the mind. So, of course, Das and Dibur are very connected, and if one is going to be compromised, if the Das is going to be compromised, and the Das is going to be the shorish of the Dibur, so the Dibur is also going to be compromised. On the other hand, just parenthetically, Moshe Rabbeinu, this is, I don't want to say it's in the Moharan exactly, because I can't say I saw it inside, but Moshe Rabbeinu, who was the Ish Das, as we'll see, right, he was the head of the Dordeya, he had such a high-level Das, it was too much for his system, and that's why he had a speech impediment, according to those who say that he couldn't speak properly. He had too much Das. We're talking about where our Das is enslaved, and therefore we also have a problem with our Dibur. Going to be a different problem than Moshe Rabbeinu, but somewhat similar from opposite directions, yeah? So, we're going to see a little tiny piece here from Rabbi Nachman, again, Likutei Moharan. It's very, very terse, because it wasn't his main point at all. And we'll try in our way to expand it a little bit, and to just get a little bit of a big eitzah. Happens to be a big, big eitzah when it comes to the Seder. The Seder night. This is the first time I've actually seen this. And we know we've learned together that Rabbi Nassan teaches that the Iker of Rabbi Nachman, the Iker, his point was to give over eitzahs, to give over pieces of advice that Lamaisa we should use. Yes, Rabbi Nachman goes through long expositions, he goes through long Torahs to explain the inner mechanics of how these things work, and it's unbelievable, and we learn a lot on the way. But when Rabbi Nachman says that the way to be mamtik, to sweeten din, when bombs are falling, is to clap and dance, he really means that. Of course, you also have to, those who have to do a shtadlis to do what they have to do, of course. But we have to clap and dance. And then he went through a whole Torah to explain why, or really to be mamtik a gzar din. Everything is very dagistic. We need to be mamtik a gzar din, clap and dance. That's what Rabbi Nachman says. And then he goes through a whole Torah. How does that come to be? But so of clapping and dancing. So too over here we're going to learn an eitzah, a very, very important eitzah for our Sadarim, those who are leading a Seder. Very, very important. So let's see. So Rabbi Nachman says, he has over here, Vayoreu lana mitzrim, vanitzak el Hashem Elokeinu vayishlach malach. Pop quiz for everybody in the room except for the Baal Koreh who's sitting in the corner. Where is this pasuk? Vayoreu lana hamitzrim vanitzak, right? The mitzvah were ra, they were bad. Vanitzak el Hashem, we called out, we cried out to Hashem, Elokeinu, vayishlach malach, and he sent a malach. So first guess, you'd say, of course, it's Shemos, not in Shemos. Then you might say, well, the drushes from the Haggadah come from, right, the main crux of the Haggadah, of the Magid portion of the Haggadah, of the Seder, does not come from the Psukim in Shemos. They're very similar, but it really comes from the Arami Oved Avi from Parshas Kisavo, the Vidoy Bikur. But this pasuk is not from there either. Where's it from? No. Oh, actually, I didn't know for a while also. I was like, it's a Mamash Apelli. Like, you can learn Chumash a million times, and there's certain times, there's psukim, it just slipped you every year. Chukas, when Moshe and Klal Yisrael wanted to pass through Edom, so he sent messengers to the king of Edom, Melech Edom, saying, please let us pass, we don't want to fight. And he sent the whole thing about, we love Mitzrayim, and the Mitzrayim were bad to us, we screamed out to Hashem, and Hashem sent the Malach to take us out. So this is what he sent to the Melech of Edom. Interesting. Just a little bit of a... okay, we'll get to the Ramazim soon. So who's the Malach? Says Rabbi Nachman, Pershu Chachmeinu Zachron Levrocha, and Rashi brings down, Zeh Moshe. Moshe was the messenger of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as we know. Now, by Makas Bechoros, Hashem himself went down. Anivalo Malach, me and not Moshe. But in general, Moshe Rabbeinu was the one sent, of course, to take Klal Yisrael. So now Rabbi Nachman is going to explain one more line. Vayotzienu, and Hashem took us out, right? Say ulamad, right? So he says, what's Vayotzienu? Ki pegam habris hu pegam hadas. So he says pegam habris. We'll discuss what that means. Someone's pogim the bris, then he's really pogim in the das. See, most people when they learn pegam habris, they always learn it in the most lamaisedic way. But really, pegam habris, bris means the covenant. Bris means a connection. Right? That's what a bris means. It's funny. We have a bris milah where we're cutting off, and then we have a bris milah, a bris between Avram and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a bris ben Abasarim where we're connecting, making a covenant. Right? It's interesting.
Well, it really was cutting first.
Well, there was a cutting of the ant. You're saying of the karbanos.
Yeah.
So that could be one of the pshatim why it's called the bris. But bris also means, in general, we use bris meaning as a connection between two people. They made a bris together. Lavan and Yaakov, they made a bris. Right? There was no cutting of the animals over there. So sometimes bris means it's you're cutting away to connect. Like with the bris milah, it's just parenthetical. You're cutting away the arla in order to connect to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Right? A person has a baby has an arla, or he grows up with an arla, he can't eat the Karm Pesach. He's somewhat a Jew, not a Jew, many halachic ramifications. So bris milah, you cut off in order to make a bris. Okay, end parentheses. So pagam bris is pagam really of das. Because das is the faculty of the mind, chacham bina das, that allows one to make connections. Okay? Between one and the next. We'll get a little bit more into it soon. But Bechinas, he brings a pasuk, Vayeda Adam. And Adam knew. Adam, in one sense, it means he knew his wife. In the other sense, it means he was intimate with his wife. So Vayeda, which means das, also has to do with bris. Physically the bris, but also the bris that starts in the das. So this is the beginning of the Torah. Just agav tza'ak. No, I'm sorry. Tzei vayotzienu. Tzei is the same gematria as malach. Right? Because who took us out? The malach, Moshe. They're both gematria 91. Which agav is a very important number also. Just so we get our numbers right. What's the gematria 91? Very important. It's a big yichud. Two shemas of a Kadosh Baruch Hu coming together. Yud Kei Vav Kei and Aleph Dal Nun Yud. 65 and 26 is 91. It's a very big shame really when it comes to Sukkah, because Sukkah is also gematria 91. Fine. Akopon, let's go back.
Say you go out into the Sukkah.
Say me Diras Kva and go to the Diras Sarah, yeah. Also, we say it's interesting in the Haggadah, we start off Magid, Say Ulamad. Go out and learn. What do you mean go out and learn? Come in and learn. Right? Why are we sending people out? So one of the understandings is, in a derech of Pnimius, it doesn't mean go out and learn. It means connecting to Yud Kei Vav Kei and Shem Adnus, that 91, say Ulamad, learn from that. Okay, that's not for now. So says Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman says, V'hakol hu ma'orer hadas. Kol, which translates as sound, voice, it awakens and inspires das. Bebechinas hakol ma'orer hakavana. Like we say, that kol, again, awakens, inspires kavana. So in a very simple explanation, before we get to the little bit deeper, simple explanation is, sometimes we do things in our lives where it's totally out of road. It's totally unconscious. We just, a person could go to davening and not even know he's in davening. A person could do a lot of things during the day, half awake, we know, because we do it. So sometimes, but if a person yells, or if you yourself say, let's say you start davening out loud. It's one of Rabbi Nachman's big eights. Daven out loud. Because the kol, the voice, yelling, getting louder, is ma'orer, your das. To know where you are. Simple, just to know where you are. The person's half sleeping, and then you get a big honk. He's falling asleep at the red light, right? And the guy from the back is a little bit angry. The kol's ma'orer the das. In a very simple way, right? Kol wakes you up. in Mitzrayim, we were in such a galus adas that we didn't have the ability, you see, for 200 years to even cry out to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Like Nitzach, which we're going to get to, which was the beginning of the Geula, it happened 200 years in. What happened? Slowly but surely, as this servitude kicked in and we became used to it, of course people were, we'll see in a minute, of course people were probably crying out to Hashem in words. But we'll see in a minute, they became unaware, because as anybody can become desensitized. Anybody can become accustomed to even the worst situations of life, right? This over time. So you could forget, you could lose das, you could have hesech hadas, right? An interruption of thought of where you are until there was a call of a nitzak, a scream, a something that's more of the kavanah. It's very simple, just to wake a person up to where he's holding. But if we go a little bit deeper, when it comes to dibur, again, everything we're saying here has to do with the galus dibur that we experience in Mitzrayim. The dibur that we have is made up of many parts. It comes from a whole system. We can only speak about one part of that system now. Rabbi Nachman speaks about it in different places about different parts of it. But the voice that's coming out of right now of my mouth, there's actually three parts right now. Clearly, you hear words, right? It's called dibur. But what's behind the words, there's what's behind the words. What's like the base that the words are going off of? Kol. We're sticking to the dibur. Kol, there's a sound, right? If I would just go like this, it's not called dibur. You can mouth, you can understand what I'm saying. It's not called the dibur. That wouldn't work in any halachic way if I had to say something. Try Sfiras Omer like that. It's not going to work. Okay, Shemona Esrei is a different story. I don't want to talk about Shemona Esrei right now.
Well, you have to whisper it. It's still sound.
So some say not even.
Okay.
As far as this and that, but not, that. Who says that needs a dibur? So when I'm speaking with words, there's also a kol that's like the yesod, the base that's holding my words. And then there's one more part, even deeper. You can't have a sound unless you have air, breath. So that's called hevel. Hevel is air. Parenthetically, hevel is the same letters as lahav. Lahav is to be islabas, to be excited. Right? We'll get right when you blow, when a coal's on fire, if you blow on it, it lights up. Right? When a person davens with hevel, with a lot going on, it lights them up. So then you have hevel, and you have kol, and you have dibur. So the hevel, the air, is coming from deep within. It comes to the whatever it's called, not the windpipe, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about. This wherever the sound comes from over here, and then from the different parts of my mouth, there's 5 parts of the mouth, whether it's the gutturals, whatever it is, the 5 parts of the mouth, the lips, the tongue. When you move your mouth, you move your tongue, you move your teeth, it cuts and trims the coal. Right, the coal's coming up here, and then your mouth. Yeah, you can see my hand over here. Your mouth cuts it with different letters. Based on, of course, your das. Right? What do you want to say? And then it comes out with words. So a person who doesn't say words, a person who just groans or just screams out, it's a kol, beli dibur. What's deeper? Dibur or kol? It's inpinimius, kol's deeper. Right? In halacha, in nigla, dibur is more powerful because you can't just scream out and say that was, that's your somer, let's just say. You actually say the words. By the Haggadah, they said you have to say the words. But kol comes from a deeper place. Kol's the kol of the shofar. Right? Very, very deep. The kol of the shofar comes from the deepest place. And what does it do? Kol's ma'orer. Right? A person comes to the shofar in Elul, and then on Rosh Hashanah itself, and it's not, there's no words there. Not a Moshe Shmus. What the kol shofar can do if a person is having kavana, can do more than a lot of Musar Shmuzin that you hear. A lot of words could be said. When that kol shofar is going, when it's real, when it's deep, it can awaken you in a very, very deep way. In a way of das. Right? V'hakol hu ma'or hadas. Kol is ma'or the das. Right? It's not just that the kol push wakes you up. You're speaking loud, you're falling asleep at the red light, and you hear the honk behind you, and it just wakes you up to become conscious of where you are, which is true, but it's even deeper than that. Because kol, again, kol is going to come from the venitzak. We're going to get back to that. Venitzak is a scream. A kol, there was no dibur. It's just a scream out to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu understands the language of a kol. So does a mother, right? The father's like, I don't know what the kid wants. You don't know. The mother understands. So the kol is ma'or the das, b'chinas hakol ma'or hakavana. So kol here is doing something deeper. It's awakening. It's moving back up. Usually dibur, I need das to go to the dibur. But here we have kol, which sometimes is deeper. Kol is deeper than dibur. And sometimes you could have a kol which is higher than a das. Because it's only when it hits the das does it go to dibur, but a kol can precede it. Like the kol shofar. And that wakes a person up in a much deeper way. Because you could also say in another way, again, hevel, kol, and dibur. Hevel's the deepest, it's the neshama, like neshima, the breath, the hevel, yes? Kol is the ruach, because it's the ruach, the winds move, the kol moves, right? Which is also connected to the heart, the lave. And then there's the dibur, the most manifested, lowest in a certain way, which is connected to the nefesh, which is also connected to the sphere of Malchus. Okay? Follow me? Any questions?
A lot.
Tell Malchus, that was good.
Okay, so skip Malchus for now. We don't need to do the Malchus part. So when we're using the kol is can be ma'or the lave. Right? Das is a very interesting sphere, faculty. Because das is the part of who we are, that when you know something, you really, really know it. Whatever it is, it becomes emotional. You really, really understand something, it awakens your heart. Whether it's in Ava and Yira and whatever it is in. So kol can be ma'orer even emotions. That's why the kol shofar can arouse us emotionally towards tshuva more than 1,000 Musar Shmuzin. Right? Sometimes you hear a song, there's songs with words, and then there's songs without words. I personally find if you ever listen to songs without words, they can move you even more. Words are limited. The music's beautiful, but the words then put a limitation on the expansiveness of the song because it's these words. He's singing about this thing. But imagine I take the words away and I just have the music, which is just kol. The range is wide open. That can inspire a person over here. It can inspire a person this way. It can, right? You have a what's it called? You can have happy music. You can have sad music. I was just telling people about this. Certain happy music is very important. I think that a person should listen if he's down, right? The person's down. Happy music without words. It's just instrumental. Just there's a way that they have, and there's a koach that certain instruments, certain sounds, certain tones hit a person up, dancing, down in not depression, but more like solemn, right? Melancholy. There's different sounds. That's more the das in a very, very powerful way, and then you can connect to the concept of devarim hayotzim and alev nechnachzim alev. Things that leave the heart and right words. Classically, it means if you're you're talking to somebody. If the words are coming from my heart, I really mean it. It's more likely it's going to go into the other person's heart, right? If you really mean it, because there's a certain energy, there's a certain tone, there's a certain kavana. Kivun means like a direction. So if I'm speaking words from my heart, then likely it will go into the other person's heart. So even deeper, not devarim like diburim, but devarim hayotzim and alev, kol that comes from the lave, from the heart, kol nechnosim alev, can even go into your own heart. We're going to talk about it in a second, going into Kodesh Baruch Hu's heart, kiviyachol. But a person can be ma'or himself. Menachem speaks about that when a person even sings a song without any words, he hums himself, some niggin comes down, it can be ma'or him, can arouse him, inspire him in a very, very powerful way. To ruchnis. So Menachem says, "Vayter."
So where's the connection from the das can change your emotions? That when you have das, then you can have an emotional reaction to it. Where is that? Like, what's that based on?
Any. Let's say a person wants to become happy. Let's say he wants to be happy. So you tell the person. I'm just making up now. You tell the person. I don't know. Let's say you tell the person you won the lottery. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I won the lottery. He says, no, you really, really won the lottery. And then and then he's like, okay, yeah, okay, fine. Not so excited. All right, maybe I believe you. And then you show him the ticket. You show him the number that he mamish got it. Now he has it in his das. Like, oh, this is true. What's gonna happen to his heart? He's finally gonna be happy, right? Because that's the next step. From the true understanding of something, turns into the emotions. Now, often we're on automatic. So we believe in a lot of narishkeit, and therefore our emotions are all over the place. But when you learn these types of sugyas, and you understand that we actually have control over our emotions through the das, which really comes from Chochmah Bina, which really comes from Keser. When you learn the system, you can control your emotional state. Just because somebody lost money doesn't mean you have to be sad. Who said? When did losing money become equal sad? What about when a person, we discussed this once, I don't know if it was in this Chabura, but you have the new concept called hangry. Right? He's hungry, therefore he's angry. Who said hungry means angry? When did that become?
That's why this guy punched the girl in the face. And today it's,
On the subway?
no, this 9-year-old girl. They asked him, this deranged guy,
Yeah.
who when they let out, said, "I punched the girl in the face. I was hungry."
Makes sense.
And you know what? It could maybe hangry is now a new thing that can get you out in court. You
Yes,
could be
das.
acquitted. I don't know. There's no das. No das.
Fertilizer for hunger.
But that's the point. See, hunger doesn't equal anger. It never did and never will. But you see a lot of people who are angry. Why? Because I'm hungry. A lot of kids. Classic, right? Make sure they eat lunch. Because if they don't eat lunch,
Adults. No, by the way.
adults, I know. It's
No,
true.
even adults. If someone, this is very true.
Okay.
The chassid from Muncie, I'll never forget. He showed up in my office. I told him, "Don't come. I'm not doing it. I want to do the deal." They come in with a posse.
And a babka?
They came with
very good.
cookies,
Yeah, the babka.
and they said nuts, and they sit down at the table, and they push it on the table.
So bring him.
And you start
Talking.
Munching. By the time your sugar levels are up, everything that you said out the window, and they're smart as hell.
Yeah.
No,
Awesome.
people don't
Not
understand.
formal education. You can't learn that in school.
Right. I mean, so
Because also we know food goes right to the belly, right? And that's
no, but they
Right to the heart.
Their minds are so attuned, based on learning.
So good.
Based on learning,
Okay.
on how to achieve a certain plateau.
because they catch it. But the point is that what we create as cheshbonos is lav dafka true. But when you have no das, when you're not thinking, so therefore your hunger becomes anger. If you think about it, I'm hungry now. Yes, I'm hungry. Do I enjoy this state of being? I do not enjoy this state of being. I don't like to be hungry. So, sir, you should be angry. Why should I be angry? Well, because you're hungry. He says, well, I don't like being in this position. It's a little uncomfortable, but why should I become angry because of that? Right? This person has das. He's thinking through the situation. When you don't think, hungry equals anger, and we can go on with those. But das is that faculty that allows us. You need das to live life properly. You need to understand. That's why it says v'nitzak when Klal Yisrael cried out, vayishmas kol Hashem heard their voice, vayishmas kolenu, he heard their voice. They didn't say words. They finally got to the deepest tefillah, a tefillah beyond words. V'hakol ma'or hadas, and we just said kol's ma'or hadas. Rashi says on the spot, v'yishma kolenu, Hashem heard their voice. V'bracha shebirachnu avinu hakol kol Yaakov. V'yishma kolenu, the kol Yaakov, this deep voice of Yaakov Avinu, happens to be gematria. It came down. Kol. Take out one vav. Kol is gematria tzak. Right, it's the deepest kol. Is the tzak, is the crying out, from a very deep place, like the kol shofar. Like the Yidden became the shofar. They're calling out. It was like a shvarim, right? Shvarim, they're broken. Their mama's broken. Hashem hears that. In Shemos, few psukim, right? Let's go through the few psukim here. Vayi b'yom harabim ha'im. This is the source of it all. Vayi b'yom harabim ha'im. There are many days of Mitzrayim. V'yom melech Mitzrayim, and the king of Mitzrayim died. V'ya'anchu b'nei Yisrael min avoda. They groaned from the avoda. V'yizaku, it's like tzak, and they screamed out to Kadosh Baruch Hu. V'tal shav osam, and their shava and their cry went up. El ha'elokim min avoda. Right, so they v'ya'anchu, v'yizaku, shavos went up to Kadosh Baruch Hu. What's a Kadosh Baruch Hu's response? The kol is me'orer. The kol of Klal Yisrael was me'orer, a response in a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Vayishma Elokim es na'akosa. Hashem heard. Vayizkor Elokim es brisa, and he remembered the bris. We'll get back to the bris in a minute. As Avram Yaakov. Vayar Elokim, and then he saw. As Bnei Israel. Vayeda Elokim, and then he knew. So the kol was me'orer. Hashem heard, Hashem remembered, Hashem saw, and Hashem knew. Shmiya, Yizkor, Vayar, his eyes, right? Shmiya is the ears. Yizkor is let's say the head, the mind, the thinking. Vayar is the eyes. And then what's the end of the system of the Mochin? Das Vayeda Elokim. So the kol of Klal Yisrael was Ma'orah, the das of HaKadosh Baruch. Now what happens when you have das? Das hits the emotions, the heart. So what does Rashi say on the pasuk? What does Rashi say on the pasuk? Vayeda Elokim. Am I remember? Vayeda Elokim. Hashem knew. Nosan aleim leiv v'lo ha'elim einav. Hashem placed His heart, kiviyachol, on them, because the kol of Klal Yisrael was Ma'or, the das of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which was Ma'or Hashem's heart. Ki'ilu, he became emotional, and now he wanted to help them, right? Then what happened? Vayishlach Malach. Hashem sent a Malach. Who's the Malach? Zeh Moshe. Bechinas das. Because Moshe is the head of the door Deya. He's the Ish Das. So the Das of HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets sent down. Who's the next level of Das under HaKadosh Baruch Hu? His trustworthy messenger. The messenger of Moshe Rabbeinu, who's the Bechina of Das. So the kol of Klal Yisrael was Ma'or HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Das, down to the point where Hashem then wanted to be Megale His Das, revealed Das, which is who? Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is the revealed Das of Hashem. Right? The Torah is the inner Das of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which became revealed as He gave us the Torah. But then who explained everything? Moshe Rabbeinu. He's the messenger to explain what Hashem truly, truly wants. Hashem's Das. Yes? Vayidei, His Galus Hadas, and through this His Galus Hadas, again, Moshe Rabbeinu is the revelation of Hashem's Das. Das 2.0. Oz vayotzienu. Then they were taken out. So Rabbi Nachman is seeing from the Hishtalshalis, he's going to teach something very, very important. From the kol of Klal Yisrael, which started the whole thing, it was Ma'orer HaKadosh Baruch Hu's kol is Ma'orer Das. It's Ma'or Kavana. Hashem's das. It's like a kid crying out. If he's really crying in pain, it wakes the parents up. And the parents then feel for the kid. Then they want to do something. What do? They try to help the kid with using their das. So same thing with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Klal is calling out like children. Kol, from the heart. Dvarim hayotzim min halev. It wakes up a Kadosh Baruch Hu, his das, goes down to Hashem's lev, nasan, right? Aleim lev, which is Dvarim hayotzim min halev. Klal Yisrael, the kol goes nichnasim the lev of a Kadosh Baruch Hu through Hashem's das. Yes, everybody following? And then Hashem wants to reveal. He wants to help them out because now he feels for them. So what does he do? He does an act of das. What's the greatest act of das? Send Moshe Rabbeinu, who's the beginning of das. It's like the doctor. You go, the kid's sick, he's crying out. You take him to the doctor because the doctor has the das to know what to do. No, this is exactly what's going on over here. Unbelievable, no? Mamash unbelievable. So now after this is beautiful Torah, beautiful. But then what do we do with that? So Rabbi Nachman says it's just the most pashut thing in the world. If we follow what's going on, he says, Ubishvil zeh, based on this, kol being ma'or das, das is then sent down to the lev and then sent down to the das. Ubishvil zeh, omrim esa haggadah bekol ram. When you read the Haggadah, read it bekol ram. Say it out loud like you mean it. Not like we sometimes read it to our kids. Say it bekol ram, with vigor, with energy, right? Mean it. What? That's you gotta take a nap beforehand. Gotta take a nap beforehand. Right? Bekol ram means not just the dibur, but it's the tone. It's the energy level. It's coming from here. Mean it. Even if you say the words, if you add energy to it, the dvarim hayotzim and alev, it goes into the kids. Even if you don't even know what you're saying, and you have to then read the English translation, let's just say, the very fact that you're into it, the words have more energy. They sparkle. Kids are like, oh, look what's going on over here. It's exciting. Right, we're telling over a story. So you have the people tell over stories. So one time there was a guy, and he went to work, and he was, and he went to work, and these Hasidim came to him, and they tried to sell him on something, and they brought him a babka, and or you could tell a story. And one day there was a man. He just said, "Get out of my office." And then they said, "No, we're not coming. We have a babka for you." He says, "Okay, a babka. I'll let you in for the babka." You tell the story like that, with energy, with tone, with emotion. It's a different world. Right? The greatest storytellers in the world are not people who spoke like this, even if it's a great story. If you speak like a monotone, it's not really going to go that well. Even if you speak 1,000,000 miles an hour and you have the greatest things to say, the entire world with a lot of das, no one really cares what you're saying because you're not exciting. Right? So, B'kol Ram, you're telling over a story. It's a mitzvah called Sipur Yisias Mitzrayim. This is not an intellectual class about all the ins and outs of Mitzrayim and whatever, and the halachas. You're telling a story. It's supposed to be pashut. It's pashut amun. It's telling over the story like it happened. But say it like a story. Sipur. So Menachem says, "B'shvil zeh omrim es haggadah b'kol ram." Say it b'kol ram. Ki ha'geula hais aydei kol. The whole geula, the redemption from Mitzrayim, was through kol, because v'nitzak, the kol, was Ma'or Hashem's das. The das of Hashem was Ma'or his lev. Then he was Ma'or Moshe Rabbeinu the das to then take them out. V'yotzienu. So again, what started the geula? Kol, the v'nitzak. So if we read the Haggadah, v'nitzak, then we're saying over a story that has an ending of geula. But if you don't say v'nitzak, if you're not saying b'kol ram, then everybody fell asleep at the table and they're all still in guls. Right? If we want people to get out of Mitzrayim, Meitzorim, Golas Hadibur, Golas Hadas, you have to say the Haggadah. Very pashut. Say it out loud. He didn't say you have to understand. Fancy Divrei Torah, 58 Haggadahs, everything like on your table, like have all. No. Just read the Haggadah loud, with energy. Yes, it's good to know the translation beforehand. That would be the best. Everybody's asking me, what Haggadah did you use? I say Maxwell House.
Everybody
Class.
says
Maxwell House. Okay, so nowadays art scrolls like Maxwell. Hebrew, English. Simple. Simple. Okay, a little few props, throw some things at your kids or something, But just, if you say it, read it like it's a sipur, a koram, then you have a gula at the end.
there's got to be 20 agadas when you walk into Judea.
20 is 20,000 agadas. 20. You only saw the first section.
Display. That's
Yeah.
the display. It's
Right.
also in the back.
So b'shvil zeh omrim es haggadah b'koram ki ha'geula is like that kol, because geula come from kol. B'chinas v'yishmas kol, Hashem heard their voice. The voice. Ub'shvil zeh nikras b'shem haggadah. He says another nekuda. That's why we call the book that we use called the Haggadah, to tell over a story. Also, Lahoros al Tikkun Habris. Remember, the whole reason why we got into Golus Mitzrayim, we didn't explain it before, but when Menachem says Vayotzienu, and we got out in the beginning, Ki begama bris begama das, forgot to mention, that tells us if getting out was getting out of the begama bris begama das, that means we got into Mitzrayim because of some pegam habris, whatever that means. Whatever that means exactly, it's not for now. But that means the Golus started, the Golus Hadas and the Golus Hadibur started because of a Golus HaPagam HaBris. Right? Just take that at face value right now. We can't go into that now. So if we want to get out of the Golus, the Pagam HaBris, or the Das, and how do you do that? Through the Dibur, through the Kol. Okay, good. So he's telling us that the Haggadah in general, which is a Geula from a Pagam Habris, which is Mitzrayim, the word Haggadah also, Lahoros al Tikkun Habris, is it's a Bechina. The word Haggadah is teaching us about Tikkun Habris. How? Bechinas Vayaged Lachem as Briso. The pasuk in Devarim says, "Tell over them the bris." What's that referring to? The pasuk says, "Vayaged Lachem as Briso." Moshe Rabbeinu, tell the people the bris. Asher tziva eschem lasos aseres hadvorim yaseres hadibros vayichteveim al shnei luchos avan. The bris between us and the Kadosh Baruch Hu with the Torah. So the word Haggadah, Vayaged Lachem is a bris. Tell them over the bris. Again, a bris that connects. So the word Haggadah means bris. Of course, it's a bris between us and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We got into this whole mess in Mitzrayim because of a Pagama bris. So the whole tikkun of Gula is the Gulas bris. How do you do that? For Haggadah. What's the Haggadah? Magid, through Dibur, through Kol. What does that do? It's Ma'or the Das of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not Ma'or his slave, Ma'or the Das of Yishlach Malachim Moshe Rabbeinu, to get us out. So that's exactly what's going on in a big way. That's what's going on in the Haggadah. We have a beautiful Eitzah, how to get out. To go from no Das to Das, from no Dibur to Dibur, say it Kol, say the Haggadah, the Kol Ram, and then then that's a Gula. That itself's a Gula. It's the same thing when you daven. A person davens lazy, is a garnished. If he davens out loud, even if he doesn't even know what he's saying, it shows you mean it. I don't know what it means. I don't know what the words mean. But I know it's important. I believe in it. And I know Kadosh Baruch Hu knows what I'm saying, even though I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm not going to trick myself and say that I do know what I'm saying. I don't. But the very fact that I'm saying it like I mean it, that itself is a big zach. Don't throw that out. It's a big thing. So the same thing by the Haggadah. Say it b'korah. We should all be freed. And we should have the ultimate tikkun with the Gula Shem here in